Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of College Hockey Talk. On today's podcast, I'm joined by a freshman from the Merrimack hockey team, Matt Copponi. Welcome to the podcast, Matt, and thank you so much for coming on today. How's everything going?
Good, great. It's been we're home for break now, so enjoying myself, enjoying seeing my family again. So things been great. How about you?
I'm doing well, doing the same thing, just enjoying the holidays and just some time off, especially since last semester was pretty stressful academic-wise for myself as well.
Yeah, definitely, I agree.
Now, is this the first time you're back home since the season started, and what's it like just being back home for the first time after finishing up the first half of your season?
Yeah, no, it's definitely good to kind of get a break from the hockey world and kind of be able to see my family that I haven't really been able to spend much time with over the past couple months since school started. So it's definitely good to go be able to come home and see my brothers as well. So it's been good.
Now, it's hard to believe you just finished the first half of your freshman year. So, what have you taken away from the games that you've played, and how would you evaluate your team's performance as of now?
Yeah, I mean, I think, we've started off the season pretty strong. We've had a lot of games where, we it's the puck bounces one other way and it's a totally different game. And I think our team's success has been very evident this year that we're taking strides towards the right way. And I think our season's gone pretty well so far. So
Yeah, and when you look at the record, I feel like it doesn't really indicate how your team has played because you've had very close games against some really top teams in Hockey East. Is that something that your team has felt as well?
yeah, we definitely it's definitely hard when you lose to UMass in 3-1 goal games. And you really hope you can take one of those games from them, the defending national champions. But we've had some other games that we felt as though we kind of let them go, against Maine and the game against BU as well. So I just feel as though there's been a couple of games where we definitely feel we've been on the wrong end of things. But we feel as though those games are helping us, and being in those situations and learning how to play those games are definitely helping us grow as a team. So yeah.
Now, how are you approaching the second half of the season? Like, what are your goals and expectations for the team and for yourself?
I think for a team wise, I think our expectations is, to get to the Hockey East tournament and really make some noise this year. I think we have the team to do it. It's just still growing constantly every day and getting to the rink every day and, staying in the moment and taking one game at a time. I think that's going to be important for us. And, personally, I just hope to, be able to grow and be able to continue to develop and, take strides in my game that will be able to help the program as well. And hopefully we can, win some games the second half and go into playoffs feeling pretty good.
Now, talk about what it's like playing in Hockey East and just the competition you face every night, because you can make the argument that it's the most balanced conference in college hockey this year.
No, I definitely agree. I think every night it's a battle. You have to show up and you have to be ready to play. And every team's going to bring it their best. And you're a team that's definitely been able to prove that you're able to play in the league this year. And I think every night we're getting every team's best. So there's no off nights in this league. It's every night it's a battle, and it's definitely one of the best conferences to play in, and it's an honor to be able to play in it.
Now, what are some of your favorite rinks that you've played in so far, Hockey East wise, or maybe even non conference as well?
I think Maine was a pretty special rink to play in. Their hockey tradition is very rich and it's very unique, and I think that is something special being able to play in a game there. And luckily, we ended up winning that game, and so it was pretty interesting to see the crowd and right on top of you. It was very cool.
Yeah, everyone's told me that's like one of the best atmospheres, not just in Hockey East, but in college hockey as well. And I've never been there before, but it looks pretty cool. It seems like it's kind of a hike though to get up there. It's like a 5, 6 hour bus ride.
Yeah, no, that was a long trip. We took a weekend trip up there, but it was good for our team to get away, and we kind of, were on our own and we all got to spend some time together that was away from campus. So it was a good trip, and we all had a lot of fun, and it was a good experience.
Now, you're obviously a true freshman this year in college hockey. So, what's been the biggest adjustment you've had to make to your game? Has it been kind of the speed or just the mental side, making quicker decisions with the puck?
Yeah, I think the mental side of it's a lot different. You got to be able to make plays on the walls and down low, that you really got to focus on being able to make those plays, because you turn the puck over and down low and they'll go right back down on you 200 feet and put the puck in the back of the net. So you definitely need to be able to make plays. And I think the speed of the game is a huge adjustment. And I mean, me personally, it took me a little bit definitely to get into the groove of things and be able to even compete in practice. But I think the speed of the game, it's so much better. This everyone's so much bigger and stronger on their skates and their sticks, and the whole concept of the Hockey East and the way that everyone comes to play every night. It's very good for your development, makes you a very much better player.
Yeah, and how is it like transitioning? Because obviously you play at Dexter Southfield one year, and you're playing guys that are essentially your age, and then you go into college hockey the next year, and you're playing guys who are like 24, 25 years old. Like, how does that adjustment work?
Yeah, it's definitely been interesting. I think a part of that's been able to have good teammates and guys that are helping you along the way. And I have some of the best teammates I've ever had, and they've helped me a lot, kind of getting into the groove of the college life. And I think everything that happens away from the ice contributes to what happens on the ice. So I think that was a big part of my adjustment period, was the off ice point of it. And I think, having good teammates and having good people around you helping you and looking after you is very good. And I think Merrimack, did a very good job of helping me adjust to it. So
Now, what's been the biggest improvement you've made to your game so far this year?
I think just my overall ability to make quicker plays and my my passing ability has been a big focal point with adjusting to college hockey. And I think that's been a strength of my game this year, is being able to make plays and quick plays on the walls and stuff. So
Now, you got your first point against Boston University, and you also got the win against that team at home. How important was it to get that first Hockey East win, but especially beating a team like BU, who's historically always kind of does well in the Hockey East Conference?
yeah, definitely, that was a very special night. We had a lot of fans there, and the barn was packed, and we felt as though we needed to win that game. And going into that game, we thought that we needed to start a season off strong by proving a point against a powerhouse team in college hockey like BU has been for the past 100 years. So it was definitely a good night, and I think getting that win was huge for our team. Kind of going into things, because we ended up playing BC a couple of weeks later, and we had a good game against them. So I think that game helped us out a lot.
And what's it like playing at Lawler? Just because, like you said, it's not like Maine where it's like it seems like a small ice surface, but it seems like you can use that to your advantage, and it's kind of like a good home ice advantage when you go against other teams, especially like UNH who plays in a much bigger ice surface.
Yeah, definitely. It's the smaller ice surface is really an adjustment for a lot of teams to come into Lawler, and the environment, I feel as though it's a lot smaller, so everything seems a lot louder. And I think Lawler is a special rink to play in. It's a very unique college hockey rink compared to a lot of the other hockey rinks we have around here, especially in the area. And I think it's tough for teams to kind of come in here and play in such a different environment than what they're used to every day. So I think Lawler is definitely a tough place to play in, and I could imagine that most people would say the same thing, that it's one of the harder places in the league to play in.
Now, you also beat Holy Cross this season as well. I was at that game. That's why I kind of want to talk about it. So just talk about that win from your team's perspective, because it seems like your team really owned that game in the first period. But then when Holy Cross started to come back in the second and third period, it seems like the team really held their ground and got that W.
Yeah, I think that's a focal point that we're going to be focusing on the second half, is being able to close out games and go into second and third periods feeling like we're going to come out of it with the win. And I think that night we definitely had a mindset of, we need to win this game, and we're going to do what it takes to win. And I think that's a thing that when our team is able to really figure out and click with, that we're going to be a really tough team to play against. And I think we showed it against Holy Cross that we came to play, and we were ready to play, and we wanted to win. So
Now, apparently your team was stuck in traffic for that game, because when I walked into the rink, it was like 6:20, almost 6:30, and it was like an hour left until the game started. It seems like apparently your team's been stuck in a few times, been stuck in traffic. How have you handled that?
yeah, it's definitely unique when you're stuck in Boston traffic going to BU. It happened against BU the night we went there, and Holy Cross was the same. With just, there was so much traffic, and it's tough. You can't really do anything about it, and you definitely got to adjust to it. But you got to be ready for anything in this league, and I think that's something that even when those things happen, you have to be ready to just play no matter what happens. And when the puck drops, you got to be just in the game and in the moment. So I think it's something that you don't really worry about too much. You just kind of stay with it and just get focused on the game.
Now talk about your freshman class and how have you gotten to know each other so far? Because there's only four freshmen on the team, but there's also four transfers as well. So how have the newcomers gotten to know each other since you guys are all coming from different places and different points in your careers?
Yeah, like we actually have 7 freshmen on the team. We have a goalie, and then we have 3 defensemen and 3 forwards, and we have four of them are from Sweden. So that's or 3 of them, sorry, are from Sweden, and then 2 are from Canada, and then we have 2 Americans. So we've all became really close friends, and I think living right near each other, a couple doors down in the dorm is very good for us to be able to get to know each other well. And I think we've all got to know each other really well, and we've all made very good friendships so far. So it's been good. And I'm a local guy, so I was able to kind of help, and we have another local freshman as well. So we are kind of help, to show the guys the area and show them the city and kind of show them around. So I think it definitely was good to be able to have a couple local guys for, the Swedes and the Canadians to come in and feel more comfortable with. So.
Yeah, and especially playing in Sweden, the ice surface is much bigger than it is here in America. But what's it like playing with players from Europe? It seems kind of like, have you learned something from them as they've learned something from you, like you said, trying to show them the area?
Yeah, definitely. They're definitely the way they play hockey. It's definitely very, very Swedish. Like we have a defenseman that he's very skilled and offensive, and then we have another one that's very defensive and very stay at home, but he's also offensive as well. So they both bring skills to the game that you can learn off of, and they both are very smart hockey players, and they're both able to teach you things that you might not have thought of, like if one of them is really good at taking a one timer, he's been able to help me improve my one timer by just adjusting my hands. And those little things are moments that you really build relationships with guys like that. So it's definitely interesting. And we have our goalie who's the tallest player in college hockey, from Sweden. And he obviously had to make a huge adjustment being a goalie with the rink size. And you can, even shooting on practice, you learn that certain goalies have certain styles and techniques that you're going to have to be able to beat. And even shooting on him in practice, an NHL draft pick goalies, it's pretty special every day. So.
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit more about Hugo. What's it like being his teammate both on and off the ice, but also watching him play? He seems like he just stops the puck. There's not a lot of rebounds when you shoot on a goalie like him. He's kind of like a boring kind of goalie, but I remember listening to your coach and he said he kind of wants his goalies to be like that.
Yeah, that's definitely a great way to describe it. He's very good at what he does, and he's very sharp, and he's very on when he's in the games. And I think he's a player that is going to be able to go very far in hockey. And I think he has the mental and the physical drive off the ice too that you're going to need and to play in professional hockey, and he's definitely has that.
Now, speaking of your coach, what's it like playing under Coach Borek, and what have you learned under him so far? Because just watching your team play from afar, he seems like kind of a no BS. He tells you as it is kind of guy. Just watching his interviews, but also seeing him coach from the bench.
Yeah, definitely. He's straight up with you. I mean, he's not going to tell you something that, you want to hear, but really isn't the truth. He's going to tell you exactly what the truth is. And those are coaches that you need to have. And, if you're going to want to be able to learn from the best, you're going to have to take, the best into you and be able to take information from other people. And he's a guy it's taught me so much throughout the course of the season so far, along with our assistant coaches as well. And we have a really good group of coaching and a coaching staff here that's very helpful off the ice as well in the college life and adjusting to college. And that's a big part of it as well, of coaching, is being able to sit down with a kid and do video or go over some plays that maybe you didn't think was wrong, but he thought was wrong, and go over power play and stuff like that, and penalty kills. So they're all so good with being able to teach you stuff off the ice as well. And I think that's a huge part of coaching.
Now, what have the upperclassmen been like? How have they helped your transition into college hockey? Because it seems like your team has some really good leaders on the team. Max Newton looks like a great captain just from watching your team from afar, but you also have guys like Drevitz as well who have also been good leaders for your team. What's it like playing with those guys, and how have they helped your transition into college hockey?
No, they've helped me out so much being able to just transition to college as well. And and they're really good guys. All the older guys are. We have a lot of guys on our team, but we have a very tight group of guys, and I think all the upperclassmen have been very, very helpful with the underclassmen adjusting to college and adjusting to the college hockey life and being able to just show up every day and be ready to go. And I think that's something that you have to be able to have teammates that look after you and help you get through it. And we have a great group of guys here, and I couldn't thank them enough for them helping me the transition to college and just the college life itself is. So yeah, they've been very helpful.
Now let's transition and talk about your off season for a little bit. How was your off season? Did you do anything interesting, whether it was hockey related or non-hockey related?
Yeah, no, we were definitely on the ice a lot. We have off-season training schedules and stuff that we got from Merrimack, at the beginning of spring. So ever since spring started, I was working out, doing that, and working out at Stadium Performance in Dedham is kind of where I've been located after the past couple summers, and it's just they've been so helpful for me and getting me ready to go for the season. I think this past off season was a very successful off season for me.
Yeah, and overall, how is training going right now? What are you working on right now, I guess, regarding your game?
I think the main focal point for me is just getting stronger and being able to shoot the puck harder is something that I'm going to work on a lot, and just getting stronger on my feet and stronger on my stick is going to be a very big focal point over this off season as well.
Now, did you face any challenges last off season preparing for the upcoming season with the pandemic somewhat going on? I know it wasn't like the previous off season where pretty much nothing was open, but it seems like there, at least in Massachusetts, there were still some kind of restrictions regarding ice time in gyms, for at least for
Yeah,
me.
yeah, definitely. There were a lot of restrictions in place, and there was a lot going against you. But I felt like so I found a way to balance everything and being able to just get outside. I feel as though I used outdoors more and was able to kind of get outside and go on a run more than what I normally have, and go rollerblading and kind of spend some times with some friends that you never would have thought you would be able to spend time with because you were so focused on training. So I definitely think I took a different approach to the off season, but I felt as though that was probably one of the best off seasons I had. Just being able to focus on myself and focus on me was what I needed to do, and I felt as though I was able to do it.
Now, I guess like training outside, is there benefits training outside versus inside? I'm just curious about that because I don't know if you experienced it, but the weather this summer was very kind of on and off. I don't know why it was that. It wasn't the best like kind of weather for summer.
No, I agree. I think it's all about your personal, what you feel as though will help you out the best. And to me, I'm a guy who loves being outdoors. I love doing things. I love going on runs, going on walks, just playing football in the front yard. I've always been that type of kid, and being able to go outside and go outside a lot more than what I normally have just to train for hockey, I think was something that I took really advantage of. And rollerblading a lot was something that I felt as though I got my speed up a lot with just my first couple steps, and being able to transition quickly. I felt as though just being able to rollerblade down a road for 10 minutes straight, just nonstop, it's very helpful. And I think that was a key to my success, was being able to rollerblade around the neighborhoods for 10 minutes, 15 minutes straight, and just nonstop. And I think that's something that has definitely helped me a lot.
How do you stop on those rollerblades? Because it seems like it's hard to, for me, from what I've been told, it's hard to transition from ice skating to rollerblading versus rollerblading to ice skating just because of the stops. Because if I ever put on a pair of rollerblades, I would fall flat on my face. It'd be pretty bad.
Well, I think what a lot of people actually saw, because I know I personally am not the only person that picked up rollerblading a lot, because I talked to a lot of my friends and a lot of guys that just across the country that definitely picked up rollerblading. And one thing that was very common going back on the ice when the rinks did open was just the feeling of the skates to the rollerblades was so different when you got back on the ice. It just, your first time skating, you were like, oh wow, I feel like I'm on rollerblades, but I'm forgetting I'm back on the ice. So it was definitely interesting to feel that, and get back on the ice after rollerblading for 3 or 4 months straight. So it was very interesting. Yeah.
Now, how have you learned how to balance both school and hockey in college? Just because it's a little bit different than high school, but for you,
Mhm.
it must have been a bit easier because a lot of guys have to go transition from like school and play 2 years, not doing school, just focusing on hockey, then go back to college. For you, you kind of got to jump in right, doing school again
Yeah.
after previously doing it the year before.
Yeah. I definitely feel as though that part of it definitely helped me out a lot. I think the other part of it was, the school I came from helped me out a lot. Dexter, Southfield definitely prepared me to take on the workload that college gives you and be able to balance athletics out with academics and still being able to succeed at the maximum level in both. And it's all about a balance and being able to find the balance. And I think I was able to find, a balance that I needed to the first semester. And it was definitely hard, but I feel as though I was well prepared coming straight, from high school last year and not taking those couple years off just because mentally I felt as though that was the best situation for me and it personally just felt as though that's what I needed to do and it's been good so far and I've felt as though my academic and athletic life have been balanced out in college, so it's been good so far.
Yeah, and talking to Declan Carlisle last year, one thing he said he liked about Merrimack was how small some of the class sizes are, especially for lectures, because he says he's the type of student that has a lot of questions. So it's nice to get that relationship with the professors. That's something you've noticed being in college this year.
Oh yeah, definitely. The classrooms are not they're not lectures. They don't have, hundreds of people in them. One of my classes had 8 people in it. It's just you're able to communicate with your professors more and get to know them a lot deeper. And I feel like those relationships help you grow as a person and you grow as a student and being able to ask questions whenever you need to. It's very helpful for a student in the college life and the Merrimack, it's very straightforward. You have a question, you can go ask. There's no one going to tell you, you can't do that. And I think Merrimack's a place where they're very helpful with the small classes and small community and very tight knit community, and that's something that I've felt I've benefited from a lot.
Now, did you have to take any in person or online classes, or was it all in person this year?
No, it was all in person. We had every Monday, Wednesday, Friday with my classes, and then Tuesday, Thursday classes, and they were all 5 in person.
That's nice. Did you have to, was it kind of weird transitioning back from online to in person? Because I know pretty much everyone I knew had to do online school last year.
I actually luckily did not have to.
Oh,
So I
wow.
I was in person 5 days a week from September to May, my senior year of high school at Dexter. So I felt though that was something that I benefited from, that a lot of kids were not, able to get that opportunity, and Dexter Southfield really helped a lot of people out by doing that, and me personally, because online really would not have been the best situation just for me and playing hockey as well, and Dexter was able to get everybody in person and have everybody enjoying what was the best of what you could have, I guess I'd say, during the world we were living in. So yeah, we were in person 5 days a week. So I think there wasn't really a much transition for me because I never really had the online schooling experience that most people did, simply because my last full year of high school was in person. And I'm very thankful and grateful to be able to say that because, not a lot of people can say that in the year we had. So
Yeah, I know for myself, it was kind of weird transitioning from in person to online, kind of back to in person for a little bit and then online. So that's nice that you didn't really have to worry about that transition like most people did.
yeah, it was very helpful, and I'm really grateful because that really kept me focused and still just stayed on track and just kept going day after day with it. So I think that was definitely something that helped me out a lot.
Now let's talk about the beginning of your hockey career. So you're from Mansfield, Mass. Talk about growing up there and how'd you start playing hockey? I'm assuming, like myself, being a Mass kid, it was the Bruins when they went on that cup run. I feel like a lot of people fell in love with hockey because of that.
Yeah, no, definitely, definitely. I think the 2011 Cup run it's a very memorable memory that I'm sure I'll never forget for the rest of my life. Hearing them get the duck boats ready,
Oh
so
yeah.
I think that's something that it definitely made me want to focus more on hockey. And I think just growing up in Massachusetts, you saw so many guys go on to do great things. Jack Eichel, Noah Hannafin, the list goes on and on. Colin White. So it goes on and on of local guys or even guys that played at Boston College, such as Johnny Gaudreau. Like, you were able to grow up in Boston and watch just this magic happen in front of you, and you growing up as a kid just wanting to do that so badly. And I think that's what really got me into the sport, and just being able to follow in such great people's footsteps. So I think growing up in Massachusetts and being a hockey kid and a hockey head that just loves hockey, and I think that's just the best place for all people. It's there's nothing like the state of Massachusetts, and I think it's a special place.
And did you ever get the chance to see Eichel play with BU? Because I did, and he was probably, arguably, in my opinion, the best college hockey player I've ever seen play. Just like totally stood out from the rest of the guys.
I personally did not. I know I haven't really. I wasn't I wasn't the greatest BC fan growing up. BU fan. I was a BC fan. So he wasn't my favorite person, but I still
Yeah.
obviously loved him and loved looking up to him. And no, I never got to see him in person, but I would watch his highlights all the time, just sitting in my house and just being amazed at what he did every Friday and Saturday night.
Now, I know a lot of people might not agree with me with this, but I think you can make an argument that like Massachusetts is more of like a hockey state because when you look at all the parades that happened in the past like 20 years, I think the Bruins parade had the most people go to it, which is pretty crazy to think about.
I agree. I think the state of Massachusetts is it's a hockey hotbed. It's nothing. There's nothing like the prep schools we have here. There's nothing like the colleges we have here. All the high school hockey we have here. It's so unique, and I feel as though Massachusetts is really turning into a hockey hotbed, and I don't think it's going to stop, and I think it's going to continue to grow.
Yeah, and when you look at, I know none of the players were from Massachusetts on the team, but in the Frozen Four last year, three Minnesota schools made the Frozen Four, and then the team from Massachusetts ended up winning the whole thing. So I think it kind of shows that we're kind of growing and becoming one of the more hockey states compared to the rest of the states here in the U.S.
Yeah, exactly. To have three Minnesota teams, the state of Minnesota is obviously, looked at as the state of hockey, and to be able to have one Massachusetts team in there, and the Massachusetts team is able to find a way to get through it all, and that just shows kind of where Massachusetts hockey has kind of grown over the last 30, 40 years. There's always been, Minnesota on a pedestal and then the other states. And I think Massachusetts it's really starting to get up there and climb the ranks. And I feel as though that's a big moment for Massachusetts when UMass was able to win that championship, because hockey players all around the state felt as though we had won. And I think obviously, we play against them every year, but it was definitely a special to be a high school hockey player at the time, and just everyone felt Massachusetts winning, and it was very good and very good experience. So I think the state of Massachusetts is growing, and that was a very big vital point to really start taking some steps. So
Now, who was your favorite player growing up? Was it someone in college hockey or was it a Bruins player like Marchand or Bergeron?
my favorite player was Marchand growing up. Since day one, I've always looked up to him. Some people around here know me as the Rat, so that's something that I wouldn't be surprised if people still call me by that nowadays. But that's definitely a guy that I looked up to, and he's a guy that's done so well in his role at the Bruins and helped change an organization that when he got there it wasn't what it is now, and he's a very big part of why the organization is where it is now. And obviously him, Bergeron, guys like Chara, Rask, they've been there since day one, and Marchand was a guy who really stood out to me growing up as just he was the man. Like, he was the guy who I wanted to be. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I feel like people like there's a lot of people not from here but from other places that think Marchand is kind of like a rat. But if you've watched him play the past like three seasons, he's been arguably the best offensive player in the NHL, and you can make the case that he might be MVP this year. I don't know how good that case is now since he hasn't played in a little bit, but I don't know. I feel like that's why I like Marchand just because he kind of turned away from those dirty checks and kind of made himself a one of the best offensive players in the NHL, but he still has that physical edge to him.
Yeah, and he needed to definitely change his way a little bit, because I felt as though he was focusing more on that part of the game,
Hmm.
and it was hurting him in the offensive standpoint and the defensive standpoint, just being on the wrong side of pucks and not being in the right places. I think when he focused more on the important things and, focused more on really contributing in the game, and I think that was what changed him. And now he clearly is one of the most, dynamic offensive players in the league, and he's making a case to be an MVP. And I wouldn't be surprised if one day he does find a way to take it home.
Yeah, well, he's definitely a Hall of Famer for sure. And I think
Mhm.
with him, like he had that, I guess, slew foot against Ekman Larson, but I personally think it should have been a penalty just because, I don't know, I felt like he was trying to avoid him and just, I feel like people use his reputation from like 10 years ago against him on that because if he didn't have that reputation, he wouldn't have gotten suspended. So I disagreed with that
I totally agree.
decision by the NHL.
Yeah, no, he has the reputation of being a little menace on the ice, and I
Hmm.
definitely feel his name definitely doesn't help him in those situations. But it's the name of the game. It's how the hockey is. And no one's gonna look at Brad Marchand and be, oh, that guy's, the guy who's always slew foot. And they're gonna look at him as he's one of the most dynamic players in the league. So I definitely feel as though he has that reputation, but a lot of people definitely don't look at him as that way.
Now, one reason why I'm a big fan of yourself is because you're from central Massachusetts. And when you think about Massachusetts hockey, a lot of the guys that find success are from kind of the Boston area. But how did you kind of find success being from central Mass and kind of help kind of developing your game and getting towards those prep schools and being noticed by D1 schools? Because I think that's pretty interesting because it's a little bit harder, I feel like, if you're from central Mass versus other parts of the state.
Yeah, no, the town that I'm specifically from, Mansfield, I know I can only really think of one, any guy who's made it to the NHL, and his name is Eric Foley, and he's kind of the only guy I can think of that played at Mansfield High and was able to go on and do great things at the college and level, and almost make it to the professional level. And he was a guy that I looked up to a lot when I was growing up, because I wanted to be unique. I wanted to be able to do something that many people now not really are able to do. And I think just setting the mentality straight and being able to just push yourself every day towards, the same goal of being able to play college hockey and hopefully, go on to play professional. And that's it's definitely something that a lot of kids around here don't think of. They don't think of the mentality, and they don't have the drive. And I think what I separated myself from other kids was that I was able to just focus and train, and focus on the next thing, and focus on the next day, and try and get better at whatever I could, and whatever it was that I felt I wasn't there in. And when I got to high school, I feel as though I was able to play in for my high school and enjoy myself, and that definitely was something that helped me grow as a hockey player. Just enjoying the game of hockey and being able to have fun with it was a huge, huge thing for me.
Now, you played for Dexter Southfield before Merrimack. So, how'd you get the opportunity to play there and talk about your experience hockey wise with that school? And what'd you learn? What's the best memory you can think of?
Yeah, that's a special place in my heart, Dexter Southfield. I obviously didn't get to play my senior year because of the pandemic, and that's something that's always going to sit in the bottom of my heart forever. But not just not taking that school for granted, and enjoying my 2 years there were the best 2 years of my life. And I met so many friendships and relationships that I'm going to keep for the rest of my life. And that playing hockey at that school is a special place to play. The alumni that has came through there it's so unique and it's so special. And I just think being at Dexter helped me become the person I am today, simply just because they want you to be successful. They want you to push yourself, and they want you to be able to make yourself better every day. We have, like, the school's model is that, best today, better tomorrow, and that's something I really, really looked into, and thought of a deeper meaning of it. And that's a school that, if you want to really take steps in your life, and learn from some of the best people around, that's a place where it's perfect for you.
Now, how'd you get the opportunity to go there? Because I know you played 2 years at Mansfield High, and then it seemed that what kind of led to the transition to go to the prep school route?
Yeah, so my actually prep school, um, recruiting, we'll say, experience was very unique because I had a couple options that I was reining in on, towards the end of my sophomore season at Mansfield, and sent my application into several schools. And one of those schools at the time was not Dexter Southfield, simply because it never it never crossed my mind, just because I was from the suburbs and driving to Boston for an hour every day. It never really crossed my mind at the beginning, but a couple schools things didn't really work out at, and then I got, my dad he's a CM grad, and the Donato family is all CMs and CM grads, and Mr. Donato is obviously the coach there at Dexter Southfield, and we kind of had that relationship with them. So we asked them if hey, is there a spot for me? I had a boarding school opportunity. It wasn't what I wanted at the time. I didn't feel as though that's where I fit in, and so we asked, and we sent the application in. By I think I sent my application in at the beginning of July, and we obviously had to go through the whole application process. So it took some time for them to review my application and see if there was room for the school. And luckily, there was a spot open, because a kid had something had happened, and there was a spot open for me. And I think that's something that I'm gonna be forever thankful for, and just that knowing that that's how I ended up at such a special place in my heart. It's just, I'm so thankful for. And that the hockey part of that school was just incredible. I had learned so much from some of the best coaches out there: Brian McColgan, Brian Kelleher, Dan Donato. There's some of the best coaches around here, and I had some unbelievable teammates. John Fusco, NHL draft picks. So I just had a bunch of people around me that were helping me succeed, and we would show up every day, and you were showing up there to get better. You were showing up there to improve yourself, because you have a goal, you have something you're striving for, and that's something that Dexter was really able to help me out and chase my dreams. So I'm forever thankful for that school and to be able to be a part of that community.
Now, how did the experience help prepare you for college hockey specifically?
Well, I definitely, we were able to make a run at a New England championship, and we fell at the end in the last game to Salisbury, which is something that I'll never gonna forget about. But it's tough. But we learned so much as just human beings, being able to be a part of a family and a group of guys that going into the season, you didn't really know what to expect, and to see how we grew throughout those couple months was just incredible. And I think that experience, being able to be on a team, helped me grow as a hockey player and really learn how to be on a team and be a true teammate. And I think the next year following it, being elected captain was something so special to me, and being able to really take over the leadership of the team and to help lead and learn situations that you might not have even thought you would be in, and just all situations that you need to learn. And I felt as though I was able to learn and prepare myself for college hockey from Dexter. So,
Now, what was your recruitment process like to Merrimack? What made you want to go there versus other schools you might have looked into at the time?
well, I think there's something about Merrimack that just stuck with me ever since I toured there the first day. And I think I left my first recruiting visit at Merrimack saying to myself, I really could see myself being here, and I really would love to be a Merrimack Warrior. And it took some time talking to the coaches before, we really took some strides in the recruiting process. And over the pandemic, we stayed in touch, and I obviously was talking to other schools, and it's just nothing had set well with me as much as Merrimack did. And when I had talked to the coaches the last couple of times before I had really decided to go there, I wanted to be a part of a team that was going to do something that no one's done. And I want to help Merrimack get to the point where where they want to be, and get to the top of Hockey East again, and be able to play for a national championship again. So I think Merrimack needs to be able to prove themselves, and that's just a perfect spot for where I need to be in my mentality as a hockey player and just as a person, as who I am today and who I have been my whole life. I think just Merrimack was a perfect spot for me.
Now, something I want to ask you was last year, 3-on-3 overtime was introduced to college hockey, and it seems like a lot of coaches now are kind of against it. What's your take on 3-on-3? Because personally, I really enjoy it, and I feel like it will be less. It makes it less congested just because there's less players on the ice. And I feel like there's more movement with the puck. But obviously, I feel like there's some coaches that are against it. But I don't know if you watched the BU-BC game a couple of weeks ago, but I feel like that kind of proved why 3-on-3 overtime should still be in college hockey.
No, I agree. I'm a personal very huge fan of the 3-on-3 overtime. I think it opens up the game, and it really puts a focal point on who's got the best guys, who's got the guys that can go and put the puck in the back of net to end the game. It's more of just having the skill guys. It's more of just you got to have the guys that are willing to win and put their bodies on the line in the overtime period just to, help their team win. And I think it's a huge part of college hockey that can't go away. I feel it has to stay because it's such an exciting part of the game that fans love to see and everyone loves to be a part of. So I just feel it's such a unique part of hockey that separates the sport from other sports and makes hockey hockey. And I feel it's something that we have adjusted to in all levels of hockey because it's new in the NHL as well, or newer. And I think it's a great for the sport, and I think it's a great idea. And I don't think removing it's the best idea.
Now, what have you overall taken away from your college hockey experience at Merrimack so far?
Yeah, I've taken away a lot. It's a huge learning and growing experience for me, and being one of the younger guys and being able to see how other people have taken paths to where you are, and just learning so much from so many people. It's such a unique place and unique time in my life where I'm able to enjoy and learn and experience things that life throws at you that you never know you're going to have. And I think it's a huge honor to be here at this moment. But I think just being a college student at Merrimack and being a college hockey player, it's definitely just something that I've worked towards my whole life. And I'm glad I'm finally able to be here and be in the moment and just keep going and keep getting better every day.
So we're now in a segment I like to call the non-hockey segment, where I just ask you some non-hockey questions just to get to know you a little bit more off the ice. So my first non-hockey question to you is, what is the most interesting thing you've seen or read this week?
Well, I felt as though I don't know how official it is yet, but the
Mm-hmm.
Olympic situation with the NHL players, I think it's going to be interesting to see, what countries take certain guys, because I know there's a lot of guys in college hockey that are very good hockey players, and what the impact it could have on college hockey. I know I was reading a lot about Mike McMahon. I don't know if you know who he is.
Yes, I
Um,
do.
yeah, I was reading his blog just today. He posted about the impact it could have on college hockey. There's a lot of high end players that are in college hockey and that could make their rosters, and just the impact that's going to have on certain programs that really rely on those guys. And so we'll see what happens. But I think that's something that's very interesting going on is if the Olympics are going to allow, or if the NHL is going to have the NHL going to have the NHL guys go. It'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, I don't think the NHL is going to let their guys go. Not because I think because there's so many postponements going on that it'll make the schedule more confusing if they did let them go. So I
Oh yeah.
personally think they're not going to let them go because of that. And for college hockey, I know a lot of NHL teams didn't want their guys going in the first place just because of the quarantine rules that you have to do once you get to the Olympics. Because I think if you test positive there, you have to quarantine for like 3 weeks. And
Oh
I think
yeah.
it's going to be very hard for a lot of coaches to let their players go because of that. Because
Definitely.
if you test positive, you're going to basically miss the entire season after February. So that's going to be interesting to look for as well. If even college coaches are just not going to let their guys go, and who will be able to go.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see because we're at a unique time where the Olympics are they're every couple of years, and it just so happens that this year is in such a unique time period in our world, I guess. So it's definitely interesting to see what's going to happen.
I feel like if the Olympics were hosted here in the US or in Canada, it would be a little bit easier to let the players go. But like since they're all the way in, I don't know where it is, but like it's in China, so I think it's gonna be it makes it more difficult to let your players go just because of how far the Olympics are from here.
No, I agree. And the travel and the testing and then all that, it's going to be a whole lot for them to even get their guys out there. So I feel as though, it would be a lot, but to get them out there, it'd be really cool. But it might not work out. And if it were in, United States or even Canada, it would be interesting to see if the NHL would end up sending the guys because, we're all located in North America. So it would be interesting to see if it were here, but they are in China, and that's a very, very far travel. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Now, what were your thoughts on the Trevor Zegras assist, and will you try that out in a game sometime? I
I
don't know if
don't
coach will let you do that though.
I don't think SB would be very appreciative if he saw me try that. I think I might see the end of the bench for the rest of the night. But no, he's a coach that if you think it's going to go in the back of the net, then try it because all he just wants to win. And personally, I do not have the skill set in the toolbox that Trevor Zegras has to be able to do that. So I don't think I'm going to be trying that, but it's definitely really cool to see where the game is taken off to, and you see that goal, and then a couple nights later you see it in the OHL, and then you see it again somewhere else, and then in Sweden it's like it travels in a week, and you see kids doing it all over the world. It's so unique, and it's just why this sport's such. This is why I think this sport's the best sport, and it's hockey, man. It's awesome.
I was watching Logan Drevich warm up before that Holy Cross game. I feel like he would be out of all your teammates. I feel like he would be the one that'll be able to pull it off.
I agree, honestly. If I'm gonna be completely honest with you, the kid's got a set of hands that are pretty beautiful, and so I would not be surprised if he pulls that out of his toolbox. We have a couple guys that wouldn't surprise me if they were able to pull that off.
Jeffries, I think, would be the Milano because he has the good hand-eye coordination. So he'll be the one that hits in the net, but Drevich will be the one that makes the pass if I had to guess.
I would have to go with Jeffries hitting that thing in the back of the net too. He'll find a way to put that thing in there, no matter where the puck is on the ice, whether it's in the air or on the ice. So he'll find a way to bang it home. So I think definitely a good take.
Now, what music do you like to listen to?
I'm a huge rap guy. Hip hop. I'm a huge Polo G fan. So I'm a huge rap guy.
What is your guilty pleasure song? Is it like a rap song or is it like Big Time Rush or something like that?
No, I think my guilty pleasure song would probably have to be "Coming Home."
Mm-hmm.
It's a great song that I've always had on my playlist since day one. It's a song that I don't know. It's my guilty pleasure song, I guess.
Oh, yeah. I feel like they played that for Paul Pierce when he came back. That's how I know about it.
Yeah, they did. They did. I know exactly what you're talking about.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Biggest pet peeve, I feel like it's got to be traffic or just driving because you're a Massachusetts kid. I feel like that's what
Oh,
everyone says.
oh, I'm. If you're gonna ask anybody about traffic, I think you're asking the wrong guy because I hate sitting in traffic. I did it every day for 2 years driving to Boston. So it was not pleasant driving to Boston every day, at Dexter, but it's definitely an experience that being a Massachusetts kid, you have to experience traffic. And
Hmm.
I got a whole full plate of it my 2 years at Dexter. So it was very interesting.
I feel like it's gotten worse now just because I feel like people just don't know how to drive anymore. Like that's the one part, but then also like it's 11 a.m. and it's like so many cars are on the pike. It's like, oh my gosh, like where are all these people going? It's 11 a.m. Like I thought like leaving now would be a perfect time.
Well, now I think the biggest thing is why is all this road work going on?
Oh,
Like
that's another thing too.
the pandemic obviously paused, construction working, and because everyone had to be home. So, those workers, they weren't working on the roads. So now it's catch up time, and you can see how much catch up time there is because there is road work every highway, every road you drive by. It's just like it's something new every day.
Yeah, but they're taking forever to get it done. Like,
I agree.
I go through this bridge every day, and they've been working on it since like April. Like, I'm like, you'd think it would be done by now, or at least almost complete. I don't know why it's taking them forever.
Oh yeah, when you get right on 95 South, it's like you see traffic cones there, and it's like I think those traffic cones were there 2 years ago when I was driving to school, but I might be wrong.
Yeah,
It's like what the hell is going on, you know?
yeah. No, no, I totally agree. It's pretty brutal out there, but I'm trying my best to get through it. But there's days where I just lose my mind, and
Yeah.
especially if you're running late too. It's oh my gosh, it's
Oh
bad.
yeah, it definitely gets to you. It definitely gets to you.
Now, if there was a movie made about your life, who would you want to play yourself?
Hmm, that's an interesting question. If um if I had to go with anybody, I'd mm, probably Adam Sandler, just because he's my favorite actor and because he's obviously Adam Sandler, and so I feel yeah, Adam Sandler.
Yeah, that's a good answer. I can't think of anyone to be honest with you. Probably like Matt Damon because my name's Matt, so kind of both from Boston, so have some
Yeah,
similarities there. Even though I feel like he looks a little bit older than me, so it'll be tough to do that.
yeah.
Now, who has the best style on the team besides yourself?
Ooh, the best style on the team. There's definitely a couple guys on the team that have some good style, but I think our goalie Hugo or Adam Arvidsson, the Swedes, have a very unique taste to fashion, and they definitely have some pretty cool outfits that I've seen them wear so far, and they definitely have a different fashion in their hometowns, and it's just unique to be able to see them bring their culture here and then mix it with our culture here. It's very cool. It's very cool.
Who's the funniest on the team?
I think the funniest on the team is probably Ben Brar. Kid's a character. He's got a very big personality. He's a great kid. So
Who is the best trash talker on the team?
well, I sometimes like to think I am myself. I'm not gonna lie to you. But no. I think there's a lot of guys out there that are good trash talkers. I think Liam Walsh is a really good one. He has some really good lines that I've heard come out of his mouth. So, yeah,
Well, I remember at the Holy Cross game, I was sitting like near the glass in the third period, so you can kind of hear what was going on the ice. And Drevich was giving the ref a little something when he missed the call, so he seems like he's also a good trash talker as well.
Dravich is definitely a good trash talker. I think he's got some lines up his sleeve that's very very unique and some I've definitely have not heard of before. So,
Yeah,
yeah, he's good. He's a good trash talker for sure.
Newton had some good ones as well, but I feel like that's just because he's the captain, so he has a little more leeway to say what he wants on the ice.
Yeah, no, I think he gets to kind of he's heard it all. I mean, he's been on college hockey for some years now, and he's been able to hear it all. So I think he's got a couple up his sleeve. I mean, he's a kid who I've really been grateful to be able to meet. He's such a great kid and great personality, and he's such a great leader. And away from the hockey rink, he's just such a great leader. And those are the guys you look up to and really learn from the most. So I've definitely taken advantage of being his teammate and definitely learned from some of the best leadership I've ever seen. So
Now back to some hockey questions. Now the first one, I guess, is what advice would you give a younger player who's trying to pursue a D1 hockey career?
I think if you really want to get where you want to be, you can. It's all about how far you want to push yourself, and if you really want to get to where you want to be, you can. And I just think that's the main thing about it. It's your mental drive and in your ability to tell yourself that you can compete with the best players in the country and the best players in the world. And I think just showing up every day and having a mindset of getting better every day and being better than you were the day before, it's just a mindset that if you can really focus on and just focus on every day, day by day, it's things will work out itself. You just got to enjoy the ride and just enjoy hockey and enjoy life like as a whole. I think enjoying what you do is the biggest part of it, and being a hockey player and if you're a hockey player and you don't enjoy it, then you're not going to be able to succeed at the highest level. And you just have to enjoy yourself. And no matter what's going on or what's being thrown at you, just look at it in at the positive way, and just showing up every day at the rink and being ready to go and just having fun. That's the name of the game. So
Now, do you have any shout outs you'd like to give to any of your teammates, family members, friends, anyone in school that you talked to? I feel like we mentioned a few people throughout the interview, but if there's someone I forgot to mention or you forgot to mention, feel free to shout them out.
no, I think we've touched on a lot of people. I think there's just my brother's a guy who I'd like to shout out though. He's a guy who I got to play with my freshman sophomore year and at my public high school. And we got 2 really great years with each other, and we were able to play on a line together. And we were one of the better teams in the state. I definitely feel as though we didn't succeed to where we should have been, but just being able to watch my brother persevere through so much, because he had a very long history of a knee injury that was a rehabbed injury that never was actually rehabbed, which turned into a whole knee not being there. And just being able to see him get through that whole thing, and hit his success and his drive, just because he wanted to play and he wanted to be able to finish off his years. And just him as being a leader of the team and being a guy who I've looked up to my entire life, and being a role model for me. And it was definitely fun being able to play with him for 2 years. So yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Matt, for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate your time. It means a lot to myself, and I wish you nothing but the best for the rest of the season. I know you're going to do great. I was supposed to see your team play against UConn on, I don't know if that game's going to ever get rescheduled, but who knows? Maybe you just don't play UConn this year. We'll see how that goes. But take care and stay safe.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you for your time. And yeah, thank you. Have a great day.
Now, one thing that I just like to